Communication says, I trust you. I trust you. I trust you with my inner thoughts. I trust you with how I really feel. Communication makes direct request. It doesn't use satire and jokes to talk about serious stuff. It's mature. I'm going to give you a tool that we were making about $900 a month at the time. I'm in seminary. I'm working full-time, going to school full-time. We have, I think, we had 2 kids at the time. And we didn't know how to communicate. I mean, we wanted to, but we didn't know how. And so for $95, which was the student price, we went to these 12 sessions. And we were given a tool called the conference. And the conference has 3 questions, and I'm going to use this chair to kind of illustrate. There's one chair, and I'll sort of pretend I'm sitting over here. There's 3 questions, and you're going to have an assignment to do one this week. And guys, are you ready? I'm going to give your wives an assignment a little bit later, but I want you to initiate this one. There's 3 questions. It's a really safe deal. So, men, you sit down. Video, TV. I probably should do it like this. Okay? Got it like this? So, papers are gone. Distractions are gone. And guys, this will sound funny, but lean forward. It actually means something. Make eye contact, all right? And then you look at your wife and you say, what are you concerned about? Now, I forgot one small thing, and some of you need to do this literally. There needs to be a small piece of duct tape about this wide, and what you do is you say, what are you concerned about? And then you put it on your mouth, and you don't say anything no matter what. You don't fix it. Why are you concerned about that? Well, if you wouldn't have said that, well, blah, 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 but, okay, I'm trying to help you guys, okay? What are you concerned about? And you just, and here you can say, anything else? Or, wow, boy, that's hard. And she might say, well, I'm concerned about, the guy that our daughter's dating. I'm concerned about how much you work. I'm concerned about, I've gained 5 pounds, it's making me crazy. I'm concerned about, that garage door's been broken and I've talked to you about it 37 times. Now, anything, and man, what do you want to say, right? It's just a garage door, who cares? But you're not going to, right, okay. And she's gonna go, and you know what? It may take her 5, 6, 7 minutes, maybe more. But anything, and you know what? This doesn't have to be spiritual. Just anything that you're concerned about. And then you take the duct tape off, and then ladies, you lean forward and you say to him, what are you concerned about? And you take the duct tape. And guys, by the way, ladies, don't be shocked if it takes him sort of like, it might be a little bit of silence. I ain't concerned about nothing. And men, if you'll do this, cost me $95, I'm giving this to you for free. And when you think about what $95 was about 30-some years ago, I mean, this is like probably a $400 or $500 deal that you're just getting right now for free. And if you just have the courage to say, I'm concerned about that guy too. I don't like him very much, but we've never talked about it. I'm concerned about the stock market. The Dow dropped 300 points, and I'm thinking where we're at in my retirement, this doesn't look good. I'm concerned about my boss might get relocated, and I think who'd take his place. I don't like him, and I know he doesn't like me. I'm concerned about, I've gained about 10 pounds, actually. And just tell, what are you concerned about? Do you realize that probably 97% of all that a married couple talks about is usually about what happened at work or logistics or kids or getting to school or who picks this up or what are we going to do or, and then anything that's delicate, anything that's, money or sex or in-laws, you argue about that, you don't call it. And so all you've done is, what are you concerned about? You didn't fix anything? No one can talk when the other person's talking. And then, second question. By the way, you should be writing these down because you're doing these, guys. Okay? Wives, you might give them a little help and write it down in case men don't tend to be the greatest communicators. Second question is, what do you wish? What do you wish? And again, we don't have to keep this like super spiritual. I wish we would have won that lotto of, $1.5 billion. We could buy someone to date our daughter that we like, right? You know? I wish I could lose 5 pounds. I wish that just the two of us could get away for a weekend and really talk. I wish my girlfriend, she's going through stage 4 cancer. I wish God would heal her. I wish whatever's on your, what do you wish? I mean, it's just like, here's a genie in the bottle, whatever. What do you wish? And then you take the duct tape off and she asks you, what do you wish? And anything that comes to your mind. And then the final question is, what are you willing to do? But there's a rule. You don't have to do anything. What are you willing to do? And what I want you to do is this will take 15, 20 minutes. It might take a little bit longer the very first time. Your assignment, men, is to do one of these this week, and I'm not kidding, do it. If you do it, I will tell you, something will begin to happen in your relationship. Because here, you know what those do? Number one, you can't talk back, so you can't argue. That's a good deal. But when you say, what are you concerned about? Every human being has things that weigh them down. You know, I'm concerned about I threw out my bag. I'm concerned about this. I'm concerned about the future. I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about this. I'm concerned about one of our kids. I'm concerned about... And everything that's weighing me down or everything that's weighing Teresa down, now, without an argument, and it's all been laid on the table. I know the burdens or the weights in my wife's life. I also know that if I would choose to, and I don't have to, because if I have to, then it's manipulation. The first time we did this, you know what I was willing to do? I just heard all this stuff that was really hard to hear, and just not getting mad and feeling defensive. I remember what I said. I'm willing to have another one of these. I'm willing to have another conference. Actually, I think we must have been a needy case. We were assigned like 2 or 3 a week from our counselor. But you've heard the burdens, and you know what you could do? You could lift one off if you wanted to. And you know what you've heard? You've heard what would put wind in her sails or wind in his sails, something that would help them. And you could choose to, but you don't have to go, whew. Maybe she says, I just feel like we've drifted apart and I miss you and I love you and I understand work, I understand all the things, but I wish we could, just get away. And what if you said, you know what? I'm willing to plan a time away with you in the next 8 weeks. Let's get out the calendars as soon as we get done with this. Or I remember one that I still remember. It's one of the early ones, and our kids were doing homework, and of course they got home early, and Teresa was doing English and this and this and this and that, and it was like she was really frustrated over all the math. And I remember we had a conference. I said, well, I will do the math for all of our kids. And I like math. I'm good at it. And I remember later she goes, oh man, I just felt like you loved me so much. And I thought, I really don't know how to communicate because I would have never, right? And so what you'll find is you might do one of these a week at least, or a couple. And in this tool, you'll start to have the meaning of meetings. Even if you do one, you will talk about some things or hear some things that you haven't talked deeply about in ages. And the more you do it, the more you'll feel free. And by the way, you don't use this to come back at him and you say, just you're honest. This is what I'm concerned about. This is what I wish. This is what I'm willing to do. You got it? Gentlemen, your assignment is to plan a time and have a conference at least once with your wife. Pillar number 1, commitment. A lifelong choice of unconditional love. Pillar number 2, communication, a lifelong skill of learning to understand each other. Pillar number 3, caring, an adventure of lifelong friendship, fun, and mutual fulfillment. You might circle the word adventure here. I mean, marriage ought to be an adventure. There ought to be excitement in it. Jesus in Matthew chapter 11, I'd ask you to turn there with me. Matthew chapter 11, this is a phenomenal passage where Jesus is talking to a group of people that are just feeling overwhelmed with pressure. And he makes this phenomenal offer. And I think about how God longs for this for us, but how we really, part of being married is this is what we do for one another. Jesus said, come to me, verse 28. Matthew chapter 11, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Those are kind of old-time terms. Here, all of you that are stressed out, burned out, overwhelmed, come to me. Quick, don't do life on your own. Don't stuff all that stuff. Don't try to be the strong one. Don't be the individualistic, I can make this happen, I'll prove myself, blah, 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 blah. Come to me. Come in your weakness, come in your hurt. And then notice the reason. He says, first, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I'm gentle and lowly in heart, and you'll find rest for your souls. It's an agrarian picture of a couple ox that you would yoke together. And he's actually saying, here's that yoke. I will stick my head in here. I want you to stick your head in here, and let's walk together at the pace. And I won't walk too fast. And I'll pull more of the weight, but let's get connected. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. That's our model. You know what your wife wants to hear? You know what your husband wants to hear? Come to me. And I'll be a resource. I'll be a rest. I'll understand. I'll listen. We can go through this cancer together. We can go through the job change together. We can go through the financial downfall together. We can go through the crisis with one of our kids together. We can go through the rehab together. We can go through the sort of the stress and the pressure together. And the way you do that is you have to become best friends. Caring says, I like you. I like you. See, there's a lot of couples that, I love her. I told her so. Right when I said I do, we got married, I love you. But you don't treat her like you like her. The kind of activities that say that I like you are walks and talks and weekly dates and hobbies that are fun, gardening, doing stuff around the house, planning in a weekend away, just the two of you. My daughter-in-law came over. We have the privilege of having 3 of our grandkids today and tomorrow. And my daughter-in-law came over and she said, what are you preaching on? I was telling her. And she goes, oh, that's really great because, we're dropping off the kids and Eric and I are going on a date tonight. And then she said, Eric, we have these mutual friends and Eric's good buddies with this guy and I'm really good friends with the girl. And we were really talking and she's really struggling in her marriage. And so I just asked Eric, hey, how do you think so-and-so and so-and-so are doing? Eric says, oh, great. Lynn says, are you sure? Well, yeah. Well, do you guys ever talk about marriage, stuff like that? Well, no. And then she said, then I asked my friends. They're a mid-30-something couple. I asked my friends, so do you date? When's the last time you went on a date with your wife or with your husband? And they go, wow, I can't remember. And she said, even when we were super poor, every Thursday, Eric said, hey, we don't have the money, we're doing it anyway. It's an investment. And ever since they've been married, it's blocked in. For Teresa and myself, for 20-some years, it was Friday morning because it was my day off. Why do you think romance dies in a marriage? Because you stopped doing the things that made you feel romantic and close to one another. When you were courting and dating, you sent flowers, you jot a note, you call for no reason, right? So are you doing any of that stuff? This isn't mumbo jumbo magic. Start caring. Go on a hike, go on a walk, plan a weekend away. Jot him a note. Surprise her. This is not rocket science. You all did it early on when you were trying to catch him or catch her, correct? That's what caring is all about. It's say, I love you. I'm going to make these choices. I trust you. I'm going to share open from the heart. But I care. We need to have fun. We need to enjoy one another. Teresa and I were talking. I think it was just early this morning. We just got a dog that we're really excited about. Our other dog died, and And that was a very, very sad thing. And I just saw her so happy. And we were sitting, because one of the things we do to care is we walk, but without a dog, we didn't walk as much, but we like to drink coffee in the morning and talk. And we were just sitting there, and she did something like, so what are you thinking about? Like, yeah. And she just made this comment. She goes, I just like sitting in the same room with you. I thought, you know what that is? That's years and years and years and years of caring, of becoming really good friends. God doesn't want you to have an okay marriage. And here's the thing, would you stop believing the lie that all the romance novels and all the TVs and all the movies are telling you that there's some hot, great, wonderful thing out there with someone else? There's not. These 4 things are in a relationship, they work, they're great, or they're not. And starting over with someone else. Now, for some, and you're in crisis, yeah, you need to go to counseling. For some, it's major repair. Hey, been there, done that. Here's the deal, it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. The 4th and final one is commission, a shared vision to impact the lives of others for Christ. Circle the word shared vision. For those of you that are single, everything about this applies. You can have a conference. Especially, you can do this with, this conference, that's a great communication tool with 2 ladies or 2 men. If you're dating someone and you're getting serious, make sure you have a shared vision of all the things that break people apart. Make sure your relationship is more than just how fulfilled am I and how do I feel, because that's going to wear off. Our motto here is Matthew chapter 28. Matthew chapter 28. It's the very last thing he says to the disciples. Matthew chapter 28, did you find it? Oh, I love to hear. Lord, I hear the turning of the pages and the electronic devices moving around. All power and authority has been given to me. Go, therefore, and make disciples of every ethnos, every ethnic group on the face of the earth, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teach them to observe, to actually do everything I taught you. And never forget, I will be with you always till the end of the earth. It's sandwiched with all the resource and power you need has been given to me, and I'm giving it to you. And I will never leave you, forsake you. Go make disciples. Serve. Commitment is to love. Communication is to know. Caring is to share. But commission is to serve. There's something amazing that happens. There's a synergy that happens when you 2 together are doing something that's bigger than you 2 to care about other people. It just draws you together. We've come to believe that the whole purpose of marriage is, am I fulfilled? Is everything okay with me? Am I happy? You can have everything in the world, but if you don't come together to love people, serve them, care for them, take them food, serve together, go in the nursery together, be ushers together, go on a short-term missions trip together. Find a family that's in need and say, we're going to help them. It's in doing those things together that synergy is built. The commission says this, I need you. I need you. I have gifts, she has gifts. He has gifts, she has gifts. God brought us together and he sees us as one, and we can do something together for the cause of Christ. And as we do that, we're forged together. Teresa and I have done tons of different things together. But one of the things that is really fun that sort of uses both is we'll do Bible studies in our house. We've done all kind of other things, but especially we like to do it with 20-somethings. And we just started another one where we get to be the host. And she's the hostess and fixes all the stuff up, and then pretty soon we just sort of hang, and we're sort of at the age where other people do the teaching and stuff. And then you get to know them. And having done this now, I remember the early ones when we first came here, and they were all single and blah, 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 blah. And then Teresa ends up sort of coaching and counseling some of the gals, and I get to know some of the guys. And then now, it's nice to see them married, and they got a couple kids, and you watch their journey. And I have a role in the church, and Teresa has a role with our family and kids and grandkids, but that's something we do together. I can't create that kind of environment. And then we get to talk about them, and our conversation just isn't about me or just about her. It's about us and how do we serve? It does something powerful. Final point I want to make is that some of you are very conscientious, and I think that is awesome. Some of you are not, and so you need a good swift kick. I'm serious, in the posterior. That's why I played that movie clip. I'll tell you what, the people in this room on this day who walk out of here and say, I'm gonna seize the day. I'm gonna have a great marriage. It's more important than work, more important than kids, more important than anything. You do that, your life will change and your kids will have a different world. But unfortunately, the great majority of people hear truth and walk away. We're too busy right now. I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about that. He never really opens up. She's not very affectionate, blah, 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 blah. And all you focus is on the problems. And God has before you. Commitment is just saying before God, I'm in. Communication is, okay, I'll do those conferences. Caring is, I guess we could take a walk. It's pretty inexpensive. Take a walk twice a week. A guy emailed me, said, I started walking with my wife every day. We walk a mile or two or whatever it was. And you know what? I listen most of the time, but it's been the greatest thing that ever happened to our marriage. And minister. I mean, you can only watch so many football games on TV, right? I mean, serve. That's what most of us need to hear, but for just the small group that I call them the overachievers that are going to bust it and give, here's the warning. You need to make sure that you get filled so that you can give. At the very bottom, personal time for you, supportive friends, renewing activities, a fully alive you produces a full battery to be a giver. Sometimes in our best efforts to really work on our marriages and make them great, one of you can sort of unconsciously become this martyr. I'm giving to him, I'm doing this, or you're the guy, okay, I'm gonna be committed, we're gonna eat together as a family, we're gonna pray together, we're gonna do these conferences, and pretty soon you realize, man, I don't hang out with any guys anymore, or I don't have a good friendship with a woman anymore if you're a woman, and I don't do anything, I stopped working out. You need to understand, you need to do what you need to do for you to come and show up so that you can give. And the very first thing I would say is get in God's word and have at least one great same-sex friend that you can process life with so that you can say, man, I did that conference, and man, it was a disaster. I just couldn't keep the duct tape on my mouth. And in the middle of it, I did what I always do. Well, if you wouldn't have done X, Y, Z, and Z, that wouldn't happen. How many times have I told you? And then she cried and she left, and I was sorry I even went to church. And you need a friend to say, do another one. And maybe don't do it hypothetically. Why don't you make it a joke and actually take duct tape and put it on your mouth when we all need that. Because it's in giving that you receive. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, back into your lap. For whatever measure, small, medium, large, super, whatever measure you give to others, so it'll be returned to you. At the end of the day, love is giving. It's giving time and attention and grace and patience and forgiveness. And the only way we can do that, right? I get closer to God. And then I give this other person, especially when they don't deserve it, what God has given me, forgiveness and grace, not a doormat. And then a new system starts where you begin to reinforce a marriage that's going in a positive direction. You can have a marriage that works if you seize the day.